Great. This is perfect. Actually, that is wobbling quite a bit now. Come on.
We are
going to see Doctor Strangelove 2, the cinematic reboot, Doctor Strangelove universe. Anybody gonna get that reference?
We are going to, well, I mean, I think you just need to stop worrying and, you know.
Learn to love the multiverse.
Exactly. So yeah, we are going to watch WandaVision 1.5 and
Season
What If season 1.1.
Right. We got to get into predictions.
Prediction 1, from what I have heard, this has, was originally intended to come in the order before No Way Home.
Oh, so yes.
My prediction is that they have not done any reshoots to realign the continuity, and this will not be any kind of consequence of the events of No Way Home.
You don't think it'll be a direct follow-up on Doctor Strange's part?
Whatever
it's just
inciting
a complete
incidents,
coincidence that it's a multiverse movie after he just did all that stuff.
Well, again, because originally this one would have come first.
Yeah.
So,
it really depends on when in the process they changed the timeline.
It's true. But that is my prediction, that they will not retcon it. I mean, presumably they retconned it a little when they shot he's talking about the multiverse thing we know frighteningly little about. Like, I'm guessing they maybe add that line into No Way Home because suddenly he hasn't had experience with it. But yeah, my prediction is this one, the inciting incident will be within the film.
Okay.
Or, when he went to go bargain with Dormammu.
I think that's fair. I think any inciting incidents will not be directly related to Spider-Man. They're going to keep it more self-contained. I think there's going to be more tie-in with WandaVision and probably What If than there is with Spider-Man.
Prediction 2 is that glowy, streaky thing we saw from the trailer that looked kind of like Captain Marvel is going to be Ultron with the Infinity Stones in Vision's body, because that's going to be the perfect,
for Wanda, that'll be the
nemesis for Wanda. So
that's another thing I was going to ask you is who's the real bad guy in this? Because I don't think it's really Wanda's going to be
I think Wanda's going to be.
She's going to flop back and forth, but I don't think she's the main bad guy.
I didn't even necessarily think she's going to flop back and forth.
I think she's going to do some things antagonistic to Doctor Strange because she has different goals. That's all.
I would not count that possibility out, I suppose. But I am predicting that he will be in it. I am also predicting that the main villain is not going to be other Doctor Strange or that Ultron or the forgettable guy from the first movie.
Morbius.
Yes, that is my next prediction. Also, Mordo, I think.
Mordo.
He will continue to be as forgettable as he is now. I will not remember anything about him from the first movie.
Now.
And I will not care anything about him in this movie.
I think he's going to be less forgettable by a percentage point or two.
Well, we'll see what Justice on this completely subjective matter.
We do know there are Ultron bots because they were in the trailer. So I think you might be onto something with Ultron, the mind of Ultron being somewhere in the film in Vision's body would make sense.
I just meant specifically the one from What If.
It can't be the same one. Can it? Because that one was taken over by Armin Zola at the end.
Well, yeah, but he was also locked in stasis.
Right, but controlled by Armin Zola.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying there were stones, he was locked in stasis with Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange isn't there, so I am just going to believe that in some way that stalemate was broken, that situation was resolved. He doesn't have all the stones anymore. He probably doesn't have Zola because they don't want to get too deep into things,
Right.
And then he's like, some time has passed. In the process of breaking that stalemate, he has been depowered somewhat, but is still a formidable antagonist with at least one, Infinity Stone.
I don't know. I would not be surprised if that character in the trailer was just another version of Captain Marvel, perhaps the male version, the man Captain Marvel.
Oh, the Marvel, actual Kree.
Since they are doing multiverse stuff, just a different timeline version of Captain Marvel.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Last prediction for me, the Mordo one was a serious prediction that they're just not going to care about him. Is that less a prediction, actually. I predict that Wanda is going to have something to do with Vision, some sort of closure or confrontation with the events of WandaVision.
So you think White Vision's going to show up?
Not necessarily. I think it might be with an alternate version of Vision,
From a
some
different
sort of
timeline, or-
within the multiverse, something that is,
Or something that she creates like she did with her kids and
possibly.
Vision, or-
I think it's going to be something that she's going to have to confront that will not be a friendly entity.
Okay.
And sort of have to bring up the baggage of almost having to, destroy him again and whatever.
They're going to make her do that again. They're going to make her go through that again.
My hope is, in addition to that,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. As a parent, I get it, but I'm a little ambivalent about her kids because they aren't real. She made them up,
Yeah.
and she knew them for like 2 days.
I feel like
I know they're real
It was
to
set
her.
up to be followed up on in some way.
So I'm predicting they will follow up on that.
Yeah.
Even if that only as a lure by some evil entity,
Sure.
throwing out their voices there to draw her
An
in.
evil entity, you say.
But I am hoping that there will actually be a follow-up with her and with Vision, and possibly also with the children, that she gets a bit more of a happy ending. Like, I'm not expecting her story to be fully resolved, or her to everything just be said and done for her, but it would be nice if she was left in a better place than she was at the end of WandaVision. So,
right.
your turn.
I did get 2 annoying spoilers
I got
from YouTube
one.
thumbnails.
I got one regarding Patrick Stewart.
My prediction was going to be that Patrick Stewart will indeed be in the movie.
Do you think
don't tell me.
the
right or
version
wrong.
from the Fox films?
Like literally from the Fox timeline?
From one of them?
Right, from any of the Fox timeline. My prediction would have been that they would have left it ambiguous if he was from specifically that timeline or just a very similar timeline. And I was going to also predict that there's going to be at least one other mutant that we're familiar with is somewhere in the movie.
My assumption was going to be that was going to be the Illuminati, the group that was formed,
I think that's just something they put in the marketing at this point.
Yeah.
It's the Illuminati.
pretty much. But it's also weird because, first of all, that would mean that you would have Black Bolt from the Inhumans.
Okay.
You'd be looking at Black Panther. You'd be looking
And
at
was Doctor Strange
Iron
an
Man.
original member of that?
And Doctor Strange,
Right.
yeah. Which
So I feel like a version of Iron Man's going to be in it.
that
Yeah.
could be interesting.
Yeah.
But then B, they're supposed to be like making decisions about what's going on with superhero stuff in the world, like not in the multiverse. So
Well,
I assume this
Classic
will be
MCU change.
an adaptation of that concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do wonder how many of those original, are they going to introduce Namor the Submariner this way?
This would be the perfect way to do
I wish they would do another 1930s film and just do the original Human Torch and Submariner. That'd be so cool.
So do another Captain America style, isolated.
Yeah.
Or Captain Marvel, isolated in the past.
Anyway, we should get walking.
Okay.
But your predictions. I keep interrupting. The world's most half-hearted YouTubers, looking like the world's most dedicated YouTubers because they're walking around carrying a phone.
Wait, what are we doing? The giant tentacle monster eyeball guy is going to be completely unrelated to the last 2 giant tentacle monsters that we saw in the MCU.
You don't think it'll be the giant tentacle monster from What If?
No, because I just rewatched that and it's much larger in What If. This guy's tiny. It's just another tentacle monster.
Dime a dozen.
I think this movie will make sense to somebody who hasn't seen What If, but I think we're probably going to see some crossover. I think they'll explain everything in this movie, but I think we are going to see, I feel like the Doctor Strange, there's going to be the evil Doctor Strange who's from What If, and probably more than
Not
that.
even necessarily evil, he sort of turned good by the end, but we'll see if he still is.
Ultimate Doctor Strange.
Do you think we will see the Watcher?
No, I think there'll be a reference or an Easter egg, but I don't think we'll explicitly.
Do you think we will see any tie-in to the Loki series, including Kang or any version of him?
No, I honestly don't.
I'm not disagreeing with you at this point.
I don't think there will be any direct ties to that. I think the next time we'll see anything to do with that will be Ant-Man. I know, right?
Lighting. I guess we should go in and see it now.
Yeah. All right.
A lesser editing entry for once. So, was even one of our predictions right?
I said Patrick Stewart was going to be in it, but that was super obvious from the trailer. Not the version from the Fox universe, but similar.
Well, the one for the Fox And full spoilers, right?
Sure,
The
what's up?
Fox
Yes, full
animated universe.
Although the existence of a universe that is cartoon from our perspective, when they're flying through the different universes and one of them is cartoon, kind of implies that some universes just look like cartoons.
Right.
So maybe
At least one that is very close to. You know,
Right.
he's got the musical theme. He's got the yellow chair.
Right.
He's got the thing powers. And
Thing
he's got the ability to die far
I
too
really
easily.
liked that. Oh yeah.
There's just this thing that where we want to see helpless Patrick Stewart in a chair be killed by a psychopathic redhead with superpowers that used to be a good guy.
I mean, if you really think about it, this was The Last Stand.
And we've been to see both of them. I don't like when they kill Professor X. I just don't like it. It wasn't quite as horrifying as Last Stand, where he's literally like begging for his life before she explodes him. But
As soon as he got in Wanda's mind and saw her trapped in there and stopped to try to go to her, I was like, he's gone.
He's gone.
He's a goner.
But why did he stop? He could at least maybe have pulled her through at the last moment. But
Right?
no, it's like
if that's all it takes to free her mind, pull her out of there. There were so many points in this movie where the tension's building, they're running away, they're trying to do something quickly, and then they pause, and you know they're doomed because they pause.
because they paused.
And-
yeah. So the trailer just straight up lied. Other Strange never said, here's where it gets complicated.
Nope.
And he never did the tentacle thing. Like, that was presumably
That was
shot
our
from
Strange
the
did the
music
tentacle
fight.
thing.
No.
When he shoots out tentacles from his hands, that was from earlier when he's fighting Wanda. And they start
with the
snapping.
snakes?
Yeah.
Was that what it was?
It was taken from there, and
I thought
they
that,
altered it to make it look like part of that scene.
okay, because they straight up fabricated that. I feel
Yeah.
like to make us think that it was the What If Strange, but there was no What If stuff at all,
No.
except the one thing we didn't expect them to incorporate, which was Captain Carter.
Right, and then again, it's probably not the same Captain Carter
Well,
from
yes.
What If.
But even so, even as a concept of having one, like I really thought when they went to that universe that was collapsing, like that this was gonna be the What If Strange.
Although that universe had already collapsed and we saw that, so it
Yes.
wouldn't really fit still.
I thought they were gonna kind of
Yeah.
be like, well, again, I know I'm jumping all over the place here, but so WandaVision was such a key part of this,
Yeah.
and I did not expect Wanda's role in this at all. But really, Vision doesn't show up even once. They're going to tell the rest of her story without him.
I can't believe they didn't show him in one of her. She's like looking into all the red balls to see the universes, and he's not in any of them.
You can't even just use a stock clip of it,
Right, to put him in any of
And
those.
does that mean what? She just had parthenogenesis to spawn these children in every other universe?
I assume at least
she's a
in some
single
of
mother.
them. Right, in some of them he has to be. It's the father somehow. I mean, he is a robot, but
and by single mother, I don't mean raising them on her own. I mean single mother, as in You know,
that's one of those
as
like,
in virgin birth. Like I
think that's one of those like it's not important to the plot, so they're not going to address it, but you just kind of make up your own like how it happened.
But it just felt so wrong
to not
to
have
do
Vision.
what was maybe the concluding chapter and to tie into WandaVision and her children, which was so tied to him.
It's really
without him.
It's really interesting how WandaVision was all about Vision. It was her relationship with Vision, very little to do with the kids. They became important towards the end, and like she's obviously sad that they're not real, but she was more sad about Vision. So did she get closure from that?
It just felt so strange to leave him out of that. It was just like we were talking about with No Way Home.
Yeah.
Where bringing in any of the versions of Harry Osborn would have been an unnecessary plot complication that they didn't have room for in the story they were telling, which is what Vision would have been here. But it still just felt glaringly weird to omit them.
Harry Osborn got a quick mention. If you know like who he is, you understand the reference, and so did Vision. She said she explains how she had to kill him, and that was it. She never says his name, or she just said she had to kill him.
Right, and the way she described that, I had to blow a hole in the head
of
the man that I love, and it meant nothing, was a perfect like gut punch of an encapsulation of all of her pain, and that was a wonderful way of putting it, a wonderful way of putting a very horrible thing. But you know,
the story of No Way Home felt very organic, and like I really wouldn't have wanted them to change anything too much by adding Harry in there. This one didn't feel as organic. This story could have been anything. They could have, if they wanted to have Vision in there, they could have written a different story to have Vision in there. This was clearly like somebody had an idea for this story, but it doesn't really, it's not the necessary story to tell.
What? And I heard somebody describe this, and I didn't know quite what they meant at the time, that this felt like a Sam Raimi movie that they just kind of threw Doctor Strange into.
I wouldn't go that far, but I get what they meant
by it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't that it wasn't an MCU film, but it did feel like it existed to service being an MCU horror film and incorporate Wanda's story into that more than it felt like the natural outgrowth of her story.
Where were we?
Well, we were just kind of everywhere.
We're just talking about the story overall. I know what you were saying about it felt like more of a Sam Raimi story. I did feel more like that as the movie progressed. Like, it was a very gradual thing, but as you got towards the end, it started to feel more like, okay, this isn't, it's not really where I expected to go. It's more of a horror movie towards the end.
Yeah,
the horror elements kept amping up.
When Wanda attacked the Illuminati and started getting more and more spattered with blood, it's like, okay, now we're just full-on horror movie.
Right, and like where the plot was going too, it just kind of.
Whoa! Bullet time! We're doing fancy 360.
So interesting to all our viewers.
It's visually dynamic, right? That's the thing I always praise.
Exactly. This camera is going directly into your eyeball. I don't think I lined that up. Perfect.
You know.
Okay.
So, I don't know if I really like this one.
I mean, I don't dislike it. Not what I wanted from Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it.
It was weird to be Multiverse of Madness, though. It really feels like if the Avengers was called, like, Captain America, Helicarrier of Madness. Like, it's like, that was a place...
Age of Ultron Helicarrier.
Right. It was weird, like...
It was a Multiverse of Madness at the start.
At the
start. Get a montage, and then it's a universe.
We get into one other dimension and a second other dimension, but I feel like multiverse implies a lot of travel. I feel like the average Guardians of the Galaxy movie takes place in more locations than this one. It should have been
called Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch. I mean, just keep it simple.
Yeah. There wasn't as much trippy magic stuff, honestly. I guess the first and third act. The second act where they were on the Illuminati planet, it was pretty...
The magic that was in there was very creative.
It was.
I thought.
It was.
Much more creative than the first movie.
Like I said in the theater, when they were doing the musical notes fight, my thought was, I know that the main purpose is to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Because, you have heroes that will always pull in, I can do this all day, and seem like they're dead, and then summon an inner reserve of strength, and they're fine. So, being able to accurately gauge where we are in the fight has always been a bit of a cheating game in these movies. But it does just definitely feel like it's a lot harder to tell, like, oh, he's on the ropes now. Oh, he's rallying. Oh, that was a really good hit, and he's one up the bad guy. Because everything's so abstract that you've got no idea, like, is he doing just fine? Is he winning? Is he losing? I don't know.
In that fight specifically, whoever the camera was focusing on was winning.
Right.
Like, Doctor Strange is throwing musical notes. He's winning. Evil Doctor Strange is throwing them back, putting the lines on the notes. He's winning now.
Right. And it's not, and it's like, what does that mean? He's got the line, he's reattached them to a music sheet. Is that a shield? Is is he winning? So, okay, I did not expect Wanda to be the straight up villain of the 100% antagonist.
Yeah, like, seriously.
And the marketing did a good job of hiding it.
Right, no secret Mephisto appearance, no, like,
redemptive.
She gets redeemed halfway through and somebody else comes in, or there's just circumstances that they have to fight against, but she gets redeemed.
When she attacked,
she's Darth Vader and the Emperor.
When she attacked the fortress, I thought that it was going to be like, oh, she starts to attack, and then it's like, America does a thing, and they're all scattered into the multiverse, and now they have to band, she and Strange have to work together, and she gets redeemed on that journey. And after she finished, by the time she actually landed in the fortress and had murdered so many people, it's like, oh, I don't think she's gonna come back from this.
Right.
And that's not really for all that Infinity War and a little bit in Endgame, and WandaVision demanded that I empathize with her, I didn't really want this for her story.
WandaVision, the entire season is about, you find out she's doing horrible, horrible things because of the grief she's experiencing, and then at the end, she feels bad. Nobody really, I don't think anybody died. So she kind of makes it better. She helps the people that she hurt. I mean, you still like are supposed to realize that she did a bad thing, but she felt bad and she kind of had a little bit of a redemption, but then she goes off. And then in this one, that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
She's doing much more horrible things.
And it seemed like the whole idea was that was moving through the stages of grief, and at the end coming to a place of healing, of acceptance.
But what
here
they
it's
didn't
like,
tell us.
Here it's like, no, actually no. Grief will just destroy you and turn you into the exact evil that you were trying to fight.
Grief for Vision. Now she has grief for her kids. She's got to do it again.
Right.
It's one for one.
And here she did not have anyone to break her out of it. So
exactly.
She just, No, it felt like a bad message when taken in light of WandaVision. That was like, here's thing for people processing grief. But the answer is, nope, your life is over. So I didn't like that. WandaVision felt like it was about the road to healing, and this was like,
at
nope.
the end, and this one.
But it's a very unsatisfying place to leave her story, and it also feels like there's no coming. Like even if they only leave it there for a year, it's still a really
her arc. It's like, how do you come back? I mean, I know they do it in the comics all the time, like with like
Dark Phoenix,
the old Ant-Man. What's his name?
Hank Pym.
Hank Pym did it.
Yeah,
becomes a villain. Yeah, and Wanda herself, of course, in the comics. Like lots of characters become villains, kill people, do horrible things, and then come back, and everybody accepts them back.
But it feels like this was farther. She murdered an entire fortress of sorcerers, and then like basically the Avengers of another world.
The cow guy.
Yeah, he's
the unexplained cow guy.
Yeah, there was never anything about it. It's like, no, I'll kill them, and Wong's like, no, not the Minotaur. We're like, who's the Minotaur? Give me some context.
No scene of America being like, why is there a cow guy? Who's that? Like, explain it to us.
But he's very important to Wong. At this point, we just need Wong the movie.
Yeah, it's true.
They did have me very worried that even with the shooting order shuffle, that they were like going to reshoot the ending somehow and kill off Wong. You know, even though this was supposed to happen
in
before
this kind of movie,
No Way Home.
If there was ever a time, you know, they had a plausible reason to kill him, a way of killing him.
I was very glad they did not.
Yep.
We're not just getting like wind blowing audio, and that's all that is being recorded.
All right, comment below if you can't hear us. We'll fix it.
So yeah, honestly, between the kind of the distastefully brutal deaths and what they did with Wanda, those were the reasons that I'm not sure I like this movie.
They really didn't have to go that far with the Illuminati. That was pretty bad. No. I really do hope that John Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic in the MCU. I liked him. He's good.
But I feel like, again, it's just like how I'm sure when they finally introduce the X-Men, Patrick Stewart will not be Professor X.
I don't think whatever his name. Yeah. I don't think he'll be Black Bolt in the MCU. I think that was just a one-off reference.
But it's one of those. I just think it's one of those things where they're like, it's an alternate universe, so we can have fun with showing these people.
Right.
But we are not tied to the casting.
Right.
But I feel like also they're probably going to want to do a young, just starting out Fantastic Four, which means they'll probably want a younger version of Reed. Like
he's not old though.
Well, yeah, but this is literally like modern comics Reed. Like they've had Franklin and Valeria. He and Sue are married.
He said he had kids.
He's long established.
We only got to see his stretchy powers like once and mostly off camera.
Yeah,
and that bugs me. And then he died.
I feel like they probably don't want to. They want to mostly save that. For the actual Fantastic Four film.
Yeah.
It's like, let's bring him in, but let's not do too much so that it'll still be fresh when we, you know.
And neither of us have mentioned Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel because it's the most boring choice, I'm sorry, to bring in another Marvel. Like, I like her in her role.
I want to see her, what becomes to the actual Monica. I don't really care about an alternate Monica.
Right.
That apparently, even though Captain Marvel can literally fly through a Kree ship and destroy it, and fly through Thanos' ship and destroy it, it's like, oh no, a rock! I'm dead! But then that's what kills Wanda, too. So heavy stones are just the kryptonite for magic
No,
people.
she's not dead. Wanda's not dead.
Didn't you see that burst of pink energy? She clearly died.
That was her saving herself. That was the saving burst.
Saving burst. Too bad no one else had any saving bursts in this movie.
It really looked in the trailer like we were going to get more zombies. So we got one zombie and not really a zombie. I thought there was going to be like the zombies from What If. I thought there was going to be another What If tie-in.
I feel like
predict it, but
him with a cape of undead wraiths and everything was like
that was the most Sam Raimi.
Yes, and it was very metal. And I know there's probably
metal.
Some of my friends watching this right now find that absolutely awesome. To me, that was
they
like
had the metal soundtrack and everything.
I don't know if I can. I don't like
comic.
that. Like, don't do that. That's not good. The souls of the damned are literally telling you to stop doing this. Maybe you should listen.
And then with the third eye at the end and everything, it really does feel like he's embracing being a little evil.
Yeah.
Like, he's cool with it. There
And
was no conflict about it.
The most I don't care cliffhanger setup for the next movie. Like, there's a purple lady. I don't care. You crossed an incursion. First of all, how? He only went to 2 places, and one of them was already dead, and the other...
It was probably the pizza universe. I'm going to call it that. It was the flower universe where everything has flowers on it. They were only there for a little while. Wait, was that the Illuminati universe?
Yeah.
Or did they travel again?
It was the Illuminati one.
So, I'm going to choose to believe that was because Reed Richards in that universe dedicated his time to public improvement, improving public works instead of fighting bad guys. As we all know, he could improve the world if he chose to.
Yeah,
the smartest
just
man
like
alive.
Lex Luthor could cure cancer.
Exactly.
He would just give up his obsession.
Yeah, so that's why everything has flowers.
But I don't care. I really don't care. I don't even buy that he necessarily screwed anything up. And if anything, America was the one who did it anyway. So.
And who's the lady?
I don't care.
Sword? I feel like we've seen that sword. Is she an Eternal?
She almost looked like a dark elf.
Did you watch Eternals?
Not yet.
Is she an Eternal? Because she could be.
I don't
No spoilers.
care.
She could be.
I don't care who she is. I don't care about Third Eye Doctor Strange going to fix an incursion in maybe he'll actually travel the whole multiverse instead of one place.
Dark dimension, not another universe.
From
the first movie, that was the dark dimension.
Oh, the first movie was really boring.
Clearly the dark dimension. It was exactly the same.
Right.
Not
like Dormammu. I'm here to bargain for you to fix this incursion.
Like of
universe.
all places that she could have sliced open with her sword, why make it something recognizable if we're not supposed to read anything into that? Why would he just activate his third eye in that circumstance? Just let the public know that he has third eye. That's gotta be embarrassing.
Here's the thing. He's like, the Darkholm takes a heavy toll, and apparently using it once you get a third eye. But it's a third eye you can conceal at any time. So how much of a price is that?
Or can you? Maybe it was involuntary. When he goes through portals or something.
Man, losing my voice too quickly.
You have to speak up a little bit over the wind. So this sequel, as a sequel to Doctor Strange, has to be the most confusing movie to watch after the first one because of how much has changed. And the setup with Mordo. The setup with Mordo at the end of Doctor Strange 1, he sets him up, and then Doctor Strange says in this one, he's been trying to kill him. We never see that.
Right, yes.
And then it's a different version of Mordo that also ends up not liking him, but does nothing to him, and then gets trapped in a well.
Yeah, a decorative well.
A decorative well.
Oh, you can't get over to us unless you could jump a little.
Are we supposed to be worried that he's going to come after Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange 3 is just going to be like the army of Mordos.
Across the Mordoverse. That's the title. If they don't pay off Mordo being the villain, at some point I'm going to be so mildly annoyed.
I think they know that nobody liked Doctor Strange 1, and they found Mordo boring as a villain, and they were kind of leading into that. It was kind of like they did with Ragnarok, where like, okay, forget what we were doing with Thor. Here's what we're doing now.
I like Doctor Strange 1, and I liked Thor 1, and it makes me upset.
I did like Thor 1.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but I liked it a little.
When you watch it in retrospect after Thor 2, it's really good. I really liked all the Dutch angles.
But also, the whole deal with Christine, and they're trying to set up as a one true love, and
Yeah, I get it.
I feel like it's been too many years in real life and too many movies in between now and then with nothing
that's why
about
you have
her.
To watch What If. That's the one reason.
Right.
You
to
get
reinvigorate.
it. Right.
Even when What If came out, I thought the same thing. It's been too long and I didn't care about the movie. I'm not invested in this relationship.
So weird.
And honestly, I do kind of give them props for saying the whole Mordo thing played out off screen because too much time has passed for it not to have.
Apparently, it didn't. Something happened with it, but he said, this guy keeps trying to kill me.
Right.
So he's still out there just desperately trying to kill Doctor Strange.
The door is open. Which is funny, because didn't he want no more sorcerers?
Yeah.
It's one of those, like...
They set him up as somebody who's going to try to kill all sorcerers. Apparently he's killed no sorcerers.
Right. And there were some that seemed like they weren't that great. So, like, two things about all of the other wizards. First of all, did the guy that Wanda told to run get away? Did he live?
Good point. I don't think so. There were a lot of explosions.
And second, I'm not very impressed with these sorcerers that the only thing it takes to disrupt their magical shield is like, oof. Oh!
Yeah, do you remember in Endgame when they put up the shield that stopped the fire from Thanos' ship, and it was like much more impressive visually and of what it was accomplishing, and Wanda's just throwing these little bolts, and it didn't look that impressive, and she breaks through.
Right. Well, she
out. I mean, she
broke through because it was weakened.
Right.
But getting that one guy to weaken a dozen others by literally bumping their shoulder like this is a movie set in New York and someone's about to say, "Hey," and get in a fist fight. Like,
I get it conceptually. She's finding the weak spot in the armor. I thought she was going to do that to more people, but I get it from a narrative standpoint. You want to accelerate the plot and get to the point as quickly as possible. You don't want to spend too much time on one thing. But, like, she did it to one guy. I thought she was going to get in more people's heads, and it was like, okay, she built momentum.
Right.
But it was one guy, and then that's
And then he brushes some people, and that disrupts their
spell. Just, I mean, all it takes is one little hole in the shield. But apparently, each of them is contributing to a distinct part of the shield. They're not just enforcing one solid shield, which is how I read it visually. So, it was weird. It was hard... Because I know power levels in the MCU are what the plot requires.
Yes.
Everybody's as powerful as the plot requires. I get that. But having just seen them fight Thanos in Endgame, having seen examples of the power before, it didn't feel natural that they were overpowered this easily. Like, it was kind of a Worf syndrome thing. They're showing how powerful she is by showing how weak they are, but it just makes them look weak.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I will give one kudos, and that is bringing back her get in your head power, which I think they also did to Agatha and WandaVision once, which was the thing in Age of Ultron that made her seem the most sinister and the most, like, hard to square with her being a good guy. It's like, if you're gonna give Wanda a villain turn, that's a very good callback to kind of be like, look, she was always a little iffy, you know? It was a good way to do it, even if I don't like that they did it. The direction they were going seemed to be, look, she was almost that, but then she pulled back. But it's like, oh no, fake out, no. Guess what? The ending of WandaVision, if it had seemed like she had gone full Scarlet Witch, and then she pulls herself back, she didn't actually. That was the fake part. Yeah. Just like the Orchard.
I mean,
that was the fake.
We all knew there'd be some consequences with her reading the Darkhold.
Yeah.
But you think that she's going to at least attempt to be a good guy instead of going full evil from the start?
And it was very clever that in the trailer, all they show is those Orchard scenes.
Yeah.
And a scene of her doing a meditating without her looking super evil or being glowy-eyed, so that you can believe she's maybe helping Strange.
And the shot of her in the trailer with blood on her face and they go into her eye, it looks like she was the victim of something in that. It didn't look like she was the aggressor.
Some other things have misled you a little about what the movie was going to be. This one was actively trying to get you to believe it was going to be the exact opposite. It was impressive to the degree that the trailers were an intentionally crafted lie. So speaking of power levels, I kind of feel like Captain America, especially as power levels have grown and accelerated, and same with Captain Carter, has become kind of the Justice League Batman of these, where you're like,
absolutely.
Look, Wanda just rips Mr. Fantastic apart. She erased Black Bolt's mouth. She went into Xavier's mind and killed him in his own, like, specialty. But then, oh no, Captain Carter's hitting me with her shield. I can't shoot bolts through her shield.
She got a better shot on Wanda than most of those other people.
And it feels a little contrived to make her credible at playing at the same power level, which is the same thing with Cap and Thanos.
The people with powers, they get overly reliant on their powers, and they get a little headstrong, a little overly confident. She has to use tactics. She's got to surprise Wanda. And that's what made it. That's why she got
And
shot,
it's-
and then she died brutally.
And it's, again, just one of those things where it's like, but I don't understand how Wanda didn't just go poof, and she bursts into smoke. Like,
her shield is vibranium. You can't use magic on vibranium.
right, it's got an anti-magic.
Right,
field.
it's anti-magic. I like her jetpack.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, like this is the most disappointing possible Captain Marvel. Like more of this Captain Carter, less of the nerfed Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
guys,
like,
I'm sorry,
all right.
You've already made your bed. You got to lie in it. Captain Marvel
Why
is
not? Why not use?
super powerful.
Why not use? Was it her daughter? Who was it in WandaVision? It was her daughter, right? Monica Rambeau's daughter.
Wait.
This was Monica Rambeau Senior.
Oh!
From the first Captain Marvel movie.
I was wondering why. I was like, she doesn't look quite the same as I remember her in WandaVision.
No.
Okay,
But
yeah.
presumably she didn't age for the same reason that Captain Marvel
Right,
in our
Captain
universe
Marvel.
didn't age.
Okay,
But
so yeah.
Right.
Well, what's her name then?
Photon, I think is her superhero name, but
Yeah,
I don't
but-
remember her.
Her last name is Rambeau.
It's got to be Rambeau. Why not use her? She was set up in WandaVision, the only thing you have to watch before this. I guess maybe this was like the last time we're going to see Monica Rambeau.
I would say here's the better solution. Just don't have Captain Marvel. Just don't.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel is too powerful for this particular scenario.
Apparently not.
Well, why not substitute in
But that's its own problem.
Namor? Why not? Why not Namor? Why
Iron
not
Man,
an
I'm
Iron
really
Man that just
surprised.
never opens his helmet, or an alternate? Why not Gwyneth
Tom
Paltrow?
Cruise as Iron Man.
Yeah, there you go.
At this
Spider-Man.
As
Like,
Spider-Man.
Somebody,
Yeah.
or just have Wanda be like, I am using my magic to take away your powers. Which, I mean, she was ripping parts of her suit off. Maybe that's what it was supposed to be. But it's just like, I don't buy that Marvel's blasts were so ineffective. Unless she's just like a lesser Marvel. Or you could at least have had Scarlet Witch do something more clever
right.
than pull down a statue.
That's the whole
Something
problem.
magic.
Her death was way too easy.
It's like Superman. Magic is his. It affects him like normal
would you
people.
say it's his kryptonite?
Yeah, I almost did. And then I was like, how stupid would that be? Magic can bypass his powers. You could set something like that up, but by going the statue route, it's just like, well, but no, we've literally seen her smashing into solid objects is a thing that she does without harm. This is established as a Captain Marvel power.
I like when when Doctor Strange is trapped in the dying universe and he's going to inhabit his zombie body, and he tells Christine, you got to protect my body from the spirits of the undead. That was insufficient preparation for what was going to happen.
Well, and funny enough, they didn't even attack him there. They attacked him on the other side. In theory, if she hadn't opened his eye, they wouldn't have even bothered his...
Maybe tell her that, and also what she could use as a weapon around instead of letting her
Cauldron
fend for
ex
herself.
Machina. I didn't even hear what line she said.
She said, it's the Cauldron ex Machina, and then she grabbed the two things.
It was really...
Apparently she has some familiarity with how magic works because she created the handcuff.
Right.
They established that.
Right.
To prevent magic.
What is it with... Because Once Upon a Time did this too. What is it with anti-magic cuffs? Who is like, that's now a trope of media.
It's very weird it's very strange that in that universe of the Illuminati, they've been able to out-science some magic things.
Although she says she did them with the sands of Vishni.
Right.
So for all
but
we know...
she applied scientific principles to it.
Well, for all we know, they are literally just a metal bracelet with a little container full of sand, and it's actually a magical artifact.
Right. I feel like it was probably her working with Reed Richards. It wasn't just her.
Right.
Being the smartest man in the universe, I feel like allows him to outsmart magic. That's believable.
And the idea of quarantining them against, like, diseases you'd have no immunity to, that's actually a clever thing.
It's like the first thing that they should do. Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of sci-fi travel movies where it's like any kind of putting you in an enclosure and doing these kinds of things is viewed as sinister, but it's like, no, this would actually be the smart thing to do, like, every time.
But then on the flip side, America, every time she goes to the universe, the first thing she does is eat the local food, and she hasn't died of some plague yet that she's not immune to.
That's one of her powers.
Yeah, it's one of her powers. Right. Her power set is also
confusing.
It was a little
It's
confusing.
stars.
It's stars.
It's stars.
Well, it's anything that is star-shaped, she can do. That's what it is. Ostensibly, she can open star-shaped portals, which is a unique look. I like it. But also, she can punch things.
With star-shaped shockwave.
I'm going to assume she's like a young Avenger from a newer comic series that has been established, and I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, ditto.
But and also I'm going to assume that her powers are completely different in the comics because that's what.
I mean, yeah, I just kept thinking, like, come on, guys, Stargirl is DC. But, like,
She's Stargirl.
that would actually be kind of a fun idea for a Supreme. It kind of is like Green Lantern's weakness to anything yellow. It's just be like, my power is I can do anything star.
Right.
Anything, like,
Anything
that's
star.
kind of fun idea that it's like, you could do anything as long as it's tied to a shape or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, it's not like she did a lot. It's punching things that are star-shaped and punching the air to make a star-shaped portal. It's all punching, and it's all star-shaped. Sometimes it's a portal to another universe, sometimes it's not. She
used her energy to resist something at some point?
She punched Wanda in the face.
Right.
I
That
didn't see a star
doesn't actually
that
take
time.
superpowers.
No, that's true. Anyone can do that.
Which would be a funny idea. Some sort of like all-powerful sorcerer that it doesn't actually grant them any physical strength, so you can just sock them in the jaw and their body is as frail and you know.
Well, I mean, that's kind of true. Doctor Strange is still a mortal human, just uses magic. Like when the evil one just fell out the window onto the spikes, he died immediately.
I did find it hilarious at the beginning that he gets knocked out and then Wong shows up to deal with the tentacle monster and he gets his big fanfare that Doctor Strange did not have.
He's
like,
the Sorcerer Supreme.
The music is much more heroic and excited
You gotta
that
show
Wong
the
is
proper
here.
respect to the Sorcerer Supreme.
That was pretty great.
Yeah. It's interesting that they're setting her up to be a sorcerer. They're training her to be a sorcerer, and they're setting her up to be a Doctor Strange continuity character. Because I wouldn't have assumed that she fits well in there with her power set. But I guess, like, it's not magical.
Yeah,
She is more like a Captain Marvel or like, yeah.
Yeah. It was an interesting idea that they're like, oh, sorcery and witchcraft are actually two different things.
Right, I was going to say, what would happen if they put the handcuffs on Wanda? Would they have worked?
I
Or
guess
is it
not.
two separate things?
Yeah, because that's
Two
like
very distinct
although it's funny,
power sets.
they make a big deal out of that. Oh, its witchcraft is different because it uses runes.
Sure.
Then she doesn't use any runes the whole rest of the movie, and she's doing just magical bolts that look the same as.
There's plenty of runes on sorcery spells when they are doing the thing. They're used differently a little bit, but they are there. There are runes.
The reveal
Yeah.
when Wanda dissolves the orchard and it turns out that she's actually like that was very.
I want to know what her neighbors see. How far does that go?
Yeah.
And the people living around there, like, what do they think about that? Nobody's noticed. Maybe
Well,
the illusion is still there for them.
At the end of WandaVision, she was way out in a cabin on a lake, way in the
Yeah, but is that where
wilderness.
she still is?
Maybe.
Because it looked like a different geographical location. But
Well, it was a
surrounded by
hellscape,
water.
so you know.
Well, that's true. And also, like, where's the red light coming from? Is the moon always eclipsed when you're in an evil orchard?
Yes. There are specific
There are
properties
rules
of
to
evil
this.
orchards.
Yes.
But that was definitely one of those like, oh, this is not going where I thought this was gonna
This
go.
ain't your daddy's Doctor Strange.
This ain't your trailers, Doctor
No.
Strange. That's the first point where you're like, this isn't what the trailer made it look like it was
that
going
was
to be.
the first sign, yeah, that it was going off the
And then when
rails.
she's like, I'll give you until tomorrow to hand her over peacefully, you're like, oh, this is not going to go the way I thought
maybe
at all.
she is the bad guy.
And again, that's where I was like, maybe in the battle something will happen to cast them all into the multiverse. And it's like, again, by the time she landed with all the corpses around, it's like, oh, we're going with this for the whole movie, aren't we? Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
this is one of those you can only be redeemed by sacrificing yourself situations.
Yeah.
Which is how it ended.
I did think visually there were some interesting standouts. As they were going through dimensions, the sort of not to overuse the term, but there were a lot of them in this movie, the hellscape, where there are a bunch of like skeletons climbing on things.
There was that one, and very notably, at the very end, Wanda almost gets pushed into one.
Yeah, that particular one stood out to me. I did like that there was a film grain one, like a
noir
kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also thought when Strange was walking up in the sanctum, and behind the staircase there's just like a crescent red planet over an ocean. That was so 80s.
Yeah.
I could see that in any 80s, kind of like the ending that we worked on in Watcher in the Woods.
Right.
But it was very much in that visual style that I could have seen that in a...
is a movie that you've never seen.
But we've improved the ending. If you want to see it,
Yeah.
like, comment, subscribe.
No, just text me.
Yeah, we're not big enough for that kind of... for the 3 people watching this,
It was a very, like, labyrinth,
Yeah.
or, that kind
I
of...
feel like something in
never-ending story, kind of...
John Carpenter,
Sure.
or something in David Lynch, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was very much in that visual style, like to an incredible, as much as, you know, Ragnarok and Guardians may have managed to capture 70s neon vibes, like this perfectly captured, that one shot was so perfectly 80s sort of dark fantasy / sci-fi. Let's see. We should probably try some semblance of chronological order. There's the wedding.
Okay.
Guy that lost his cats. I mean, that was a little funny.
It was funny, and then they made you feel bad for laughing. Because he was like, I lost my cats and my brother. They pause for a beat so that you can laugh at the cats thing, and then they say his brother died.
Because this movie doesn't want to be lighthearted.
No. Okay, so the wedding, then he goes... And then Christine looks out at him fighting the monster, and she has this look like, oh, of course he's stealing the show from my wedding. He's
or
really
something,
upstaging
yeah.
me.
It's like,
and then that goes nowhere. It's never
I was
addressed.
wondering, what is she annoyed about? It's like, it's not his fault that a tentacle monster showed
We
up.
never see that version of Christine again, do we?
No.
The entire movie.
No.
Yeah.
And we didn't even get to see her husband. Like, I mean, I guess he's like, oh, cool, but it's like,
We see one
he's
shot
a big
of
fan,
him.
but they didn't do anything with that.
He never got his autograph. I feel
No.
bad about that.
No.
Okay, so then it's just bam, 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 right into the multiverse
It
stuff.
was a big shock when it's like, oh gosh, those two monsters that we saw, even the one that killed the other Doctor Strange, were sent by Wanda. Like, that moment of realization was like,
so
whoa.
Right, so they get America, they go to the place, come and talk. They're like, I know, we'll talk to Wanda, she might know what's going on. The audience is like, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You get there, everybody's shocked that she's evil because, nobody expected that. The audience has just seen WandaVision.
Right. And the trailers.
And the trailers. So it's a twist that worked because it subverted expectations. And that
Ryan
made it,
Johnson!
And that makes it good. I thought it was a good movie. It wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah. I like the Bruce Campbell cameo.
Oh, yeah.
There's another thing we didn't catch.
Never disappoints.
Pizza Papa.
Yeah. the only comic relief in the
whole
one of the very
movie!
few comic relief moments.
I again, Professor X bothered me a little. Like, I like what they did. I love the 90s movie Sting.
You liked
or the
him
90s
died,
cartoon.
I get it. You liked him dying.
But it did feel like they nerfed him a little. And again, it's like, oh, maybe I could pull you out. Oh no, Wanda's coming, isn't he? And he dies. Like, well, how about if I pull you out in the next 10 seconds, you can avert that happening?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing. He's always been like the strongest psychic. And
Right.
Wanda also has very strong psychic powers. We know this. But
Right.
the interesting thing is, when you see it depicted this way, as somebody, he goes into somebody's mind, you're seeing what he's seeing in their mind. Anything that happens in there is like a depiction of how strong he is, how he's using his powers.
Mm-hmm.
So like in there, he's just as vulnerable. It's just normally he can do what he needs to do in there very quickly, get it done. And in this case, what we're
Yes.
seeing is that she's trapped in an impossible situation, and he's helpless to help. Like he doesn't have super strength when he goes into somebody's mind.
Right.
He's still a normal guy, so he has to be able to help them as a normal person in their mind.
I'd like to have at least seen more of a battle between him and Wanda on the
Well,
mental plane.
All of them, all of the Illuminati, very disappointing deaths.
I mean, Mr. Fantastic, I could buy it because he really has no defense against that.
Yes.
Black Bolt was apparently... Okay, but wait. Are we saying that when she seals his mouth, the skin of his mouth is stronger than the whole rest of his
Are we
head?
saying that he realized his mouth was sealed and still decided to speak?
Right. But then, instead of it just bursting open bloodily the front of his mouth...
Yeah. It goes out the back of it.
It bounced and exploded his brain.
That's the weak point.
Because apparently the back of his skull, which houses his
Listen.
brain, is weaker than the front of his mouth.
Drax laid it all out for us there.
It's weak.
The skin is too strong to penetrate from the outside. He has to penetrate it from the inside.
I just don't understand, like, if it bounced off his mouth, why didn't it bounce off the back of his skull too?
Exactly.
Like, why?
Well, okay, it's required secondary powers that the skin and the muscles around his cheeks and his mouth have to be strong to withstand the vocal blast. The rest of his body's normal.
There you go. There you go. Like, that is fridge logic, but I'm just suddenly going, wait, why did that kill him? Why didn't it just go, blah? Okay, that's a big mess. His jaw is hanging off, but he's alive.
Yeah. I'm glad we got to see him use his powers in, like, the dream flashback thing.
The only thing is, like, I really feel like that should only last for as long as he's speaking. Not like, I'm sorry!
Right, it kind of would have been more impactful if it was a quick thing, and that's all it took.
Yeah.
Instead of like a sustained, brutal death for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sustained or just brutal death was kind of the theme of the movie. I haven't seen the movie Logan, but I strongly suspect that Professor X probably dies there too. So just like, why do they like to keep killing him off? By former superhero redhead, like, I just don't... Please stop killing Professor X. Like, I don't like it.
You know what?
Stop
Let's go a
doing
little
it.
farther. Please stop killing Patrick Stewart. He's a nice old man.
And in Picard, they even killed him once.
That's
I'm
what
hoping that season 3 doesn't end with them killing him again for permanent this time. Just like with Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and I'm kind of worried now that Indy 5 is going forward. Guys, it's okay to let your characters ride off into the sunset. To imagine that they died peacefully of old age at some point, we don't have to see every one of our childhood heroes often die horribly. Stop using them. Let them live their imaginary lives in peace. Yeah, no.
You forgot one too, the third Jurassic World movie. All three of those
they better not! They better not!
Here's how it goes. The paleontologist, whose name I forget, Velociraptor, obviously, he introduces us to the Velociraptor. Alan Grant, Velociraptor. Right.
Gets killed by a Velociraptor.
Gets killed by a Velociraptor.
Probably blue.
Ian Malcolm, car accident. He's got to go faster. That's the lady paleontologist.
Dr. Sadler.
Thank you for remembering the names. Dr. Sadler, I'm trying to think what's the most ironic way for her to die.
She doesn't really have one.
Cancer.
Cancer? What? Terrible. And I'm terrible for...
I'm sorry, it's directed by Sam Raimi. Put me in the headspace.
Yeah, I am excited for
Listen,
Dominion, but if they kill any of those three off, I will never forgive them. I'm just saying, I'm okay not seeing I would have been fine not seeing Captain Kirk die. I'm fine not seeing Captain Picard die again. Like, I don't need to see the complete life story of all my heroes up until their death. I'm happy imagining that they just died in their sleep, or, on the bed surrounded by all their wife and kids in no pain. I don't need to see, I don't need to see every one of them die!
So would you say it's better to kill them when they're young? like with Iron Man, right? Like, that's the end of the arc. He didn't retire for them to bring him back in 20 years. To kill him then when he's a beloved, nostalgic character. They killed him
kill him in his
before
prime.
the nostalgia sets in.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably better, right? Like, let's be real.
Oh, guys, it's time to start letting franchises end. Just let them end. If you're going to kill something, kill the franchise, not the character. Just let it be well remembered and have it ended.
It's not a thing.
I know, we're stuck in the Ouroboros cycle. In the 20th century, we made products for about 40 to 50 years, long enough for the cycle of nostalgia to become self-sustaining, and now we are just perpetually remaking, eating our own tail, remaking that same loop of properties over and over to infinity. It has become self-sustaining now, and Doc Ock did not drown it in the river in time. So we'll just keep on going for it. It'll be
that's
2180, and people will be like, I can't believe they brought back Star Wars just to kill off Schmoogenbog. And when in Schmoogenbog's movies, they were like, I can't believe they killed off Larflob. And in Larflob's movies, they were like, I can't believe they killed off Rey.
I think we have more viewers in this neighborhood than we will on our YouTube channel.
I get passionate when I'm loud.
No, but that's a joke, but it's not a joke because in 20 years, BB-8 is going to tragically die.
Right, exactly.
And my kids will be very sad about it.
Exactly. It's never going to stop. Just let them end.
But that's a lie because the robots live forever. C-3PO and R2-D2 Anthony Daniels will still be playing C-3PO in 20 years.
It's true.
And it will be Rey and Finn and Poe that die tragically. And I won't feel sad about it.
But someone will.
Someone will.
I feel a little bad for Poe. So I think that covers pretty much. I did like when the giant gargoyle demon things come and they just then like bend a knee to Wanda. That was
right.
Like,
that was again like reinforcing.
you think that maybe
crap.
maybe there's gonna be a way. Maybe they pull back to her and Wong fight side by side. Maybe they're no.
And then they all turn and look at the enormous recognizable statue of her that nobody saw up to that point.
Right.
Like,
That was a little silly.
Oh, and then Wanda's like, this isn't a tomb, it's a throne. But there isn't a throne or any kind of a seat. I thought she was going to say temple.
Yeah, temple.
This isn't a tomb, it's a temple to her. It's like, how do you get to the throne? Where's the throne?
Yeah, there's no place to receive people. There's no kingdom.
Sit on that stone, but then she gets off it and puts America.
It's more of a sacrificial altar, which is how she uses
Not a throne. But, I'm not a Hollywood writer.
# not a throne, That's the problem with this movie.
That's the controversy.
That's the
for
flaw.
this movie.
And again, I bet there are a lot of comic fans, just like with Thanos for me, and just like with what's her name at Loki, that when that lady showed up, it's like, oh look, it's Vashugada.
It is Vashugada.
You
haven't read Vashugada issues 10 through 30? The iconic Vashugada run.
If it was DC, I would have.
And drawn by Stan Lee, the only one that he did the artwork for.
Right. Again, I don't care, but I'm sure she's probably knows somebody.
That's the thing, like...
This movie left me with a strong sense of ambivalence for whatever's going to happen next.
Right. And I agree with you. And at the end of Avengers, when we all saw the big purple guy, we were very interested in Googling who that was, and that's not the case here. And I feel like that's execution there.
She's even purple. And you know what? You know what the problem with execution was?
Yeah.
How many of them there were throughout the movie.
How many executions? I feel like it's the sudden turn of this Doctor Strange in the MCU, the one that we're familiar with, that we care about, going from, I'm different from these other Doctor Stranges who have basically all turned evil up to this point. They all have shown that they will turn evil. I'm different from them, I won't turn evil, to, I'll turn a little evil.
Yeah, well, that was a bit too far.
And I'm cool with having a third eye because it looks...
I'm a bit of a bad boy now.
Yeah, he's the bad boy of the MCU. But, I'm okay with them taking the character in a new direction because he's going to be in a million more movies because he signed a contract to be literally in a million movies. We all know this. And so they got to do something new with him. So, but set it up earlier in the movie, hint at it, carry through with it. Don't make the message of the movie him being tempted to the dark side and then choosing the light side. And then in the post-credits scene, choosing the dark side. Like showing his recommitment to the dark side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And again, after you've already done the exact same thing with Wanda.
Right.
Well, is the message of this movie, turning from evil is for suckers. It's never going to work out. You're always going to go back to your addiction.
No, the message of this
You're
movie...
always going to fall back into your bad habits. Don't even try and fight it.
The message of this
You'll
movie...
always be an alcoholic. You'll always be...
Books are for suckers.
Books are for suckers,
Because they do burst into flames at the drop of a hat. At the drop of a book, the book will burst into flames. The Darkhold gets destroyed very easily, but intentionally.
With a knife.
Okay, that made sense. It was important to the plot that it got destroyed.
Right.
The Lighthold. I forget what it's called.
The Book of Vishti.
The Book of... That's the lady at the end.
The sands were Vishti and the
It's one of those famous sorcerers.
Was it Vishti or Vishti? I don't know.
That's okay. He's a famous sorcerer. He can have more than one thing named after him. They've done that before.
Right, I guess. I'm just trying to remember. Was it the same name or just similar names?
But why is that one named after sorcerer and the Darkhold name? It doesn't matter. Because
it holds dark stuff in it.
So that one was written by a demon or copied by someone who copied
They almost
a demon's
named
homework.
it the Contain Evil, but they just went the Darkhold instead.
It's kind of one of those translations. Like that's the root word, Latin word.
Right.
It holds dark. Anyways, is it the same one from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? We don't know. So that one gets destroyed intentionally. The Lighthold gets destroyed because they need to make it harder on the heroes to win, but it was still destroyed very easily. And then at the end, more Darkholds get destroyed. All of them. All the books get destroyed. I'm surprised they didn't show the library at Comitage being burned to the ground.
It does seem a little unfair. It's like, wait, if she could just go boom and destroy the ultimate book of good, then shouldn't Wong just have been able to go boom and destroy the ultimate book of evil?
Right, it's just paper.
I think my final position on this one is going to be I didn't really care for it. Like
You got to give it a rating.
It is not a badly made movie. Here's the thing. In somewhat the same way that I've gone with Shin Godzilla, with The Dark Knight, etc.
Tron
where
Legacy.
it's like, Tron Legacy.
I thought you
that's
hated that movie.
I hate it as a Tron movie.
Okay, fair.
I don't think it works as a Tron movie, but as a sci-fi movie, it's fine. And that's the thing.
And that's kind of how
Where I
you feel.
am with each of those, they're not badly made movies. In fact, they are, even with The Last Jedi, I can acknowledge that it is a very well-made movie. It is not ineptly crafted. It is not, it doesn't fail visually or in storytelling technique. With Dark Knight and Shin Godzilla, its style wasn't for me. And that is true of this movie. But this is more like The Last Jedi and Tron Legacy, where it also crosses to that second level of, this is also not what I want out of this franchise. I didn't dislike this one as much as I dislike Last Jedi now, and I don't think I hate what they did with Wanda quite as much as I hate what they did with Luke Skywalker, but it is kind of close.
Because she wasn't ever the hero like Luke Skywalker was. She was always kind of on the edge.
No. She suffered so much.
Yeah.
And you wanted to see her find happiness and find healing.
She lost everyone she loved and died. And that's what you want from a character arc.
Right. It's
closure.
like when you've been traumatized, when you're a victim, I think the thing that everyone wants to see is for you to suffer more and die. Because, that's the most satisfying,
the ultimate closure
possible, the ultimate closure of death.
Right.
I mean, it's appropriate that she at least died in the same way, died, I know you don't believe it, in the same way that she killed Captain Marvel, being crushed by heavy stones.
It is. It's kind of justice for Monica. But,
hashtag justice for Monica.
Yes. They didn't do her character justice. If she's gonna be Captain Marvel and have all the Captain Marvel powers,
Carol headbutted Thanos, okay? A statue is not gonna kill her.
Infinity Ultron through the core of a planet.
Right. And you know what? Here's the thing with physics. Hitting a rock really hard is the same thing as a rock hitting you really hard. So there should not be a difference.
Not in movies. But anyway.
No, I'm saying in physics, in real life.
I believe that she died. I don't believe that she's going to stay dead.
Right.
I think she's down there chilling with Lady Death that they had the perfect opportunity to set up in this movie and chose not to out of cowardice.
That was another thing they brought back from What If. Let's just show Thanos getting nerfed.
He was stabbed with his own sword. That's how they beat him.
Final thoughts.
Rating.
Objectively or subjectively?
Give me your critics rating and your audience rating.
All right, my critics rating is probably a 4.5 out of 5.
4.5, that's pretty, okay, yeah.
My audience rating right now, we'll see where it settles, but right now is maybe a 2.
2 out of 5. Ooh, that's a failing grade.
Yeah.
I actually think critically, I have to say, it's more like a 4. Not that I think it was a poorly made movie. I think there were some contrivances. I feel like, looking at purely objectively, some of the character beats and turns were very rushed when you stop to think about it. And I wish they had done more with America's character throughout the thing, instead of just hitting these points where it's like, tragic backstory, she's struggling, Doctor Strange encourages her, trust your heart.
Yeah, we need a little more of her story.
Yeah, anyways.
That's why they brought Captain Carter in. Specifically because Captain America and America would have been too confusing.
That's a very good point. I'm going to say audience rating. The only reason I'm going to rate it lower is because it wasn't what I wanted for this specific character of Doctor Strange, especially where they left him at the end. If it wasn't for the end, I probably would go even higher, but I'd say a 3. 3 out of 5. I'd probably almost give it a 4 if it wasn't for how they ended it with him. If he had ended without compromising what he was fighting for throughout the movie.
Yeah, that left a bad taste in my mouth.
And it felt like such an afterthought, and also it was played upbeat. It wasn't even like sinister, almost. Like it was.
Well, I didn't even necessarily think that he was supposed to be embracing the darkness there. Yeah. He was just receiving the consequences of the dark thing that he did earlier.
I guess it's a setup for the next one. Fine.
But yeah, it was a little frustrating to be like, oh, all Doctor Stranges really are bad. Like, really? I kept waiting for them to be like, no, he's different.
But I enjoyed it as a moviegoer. It was fun. But, you know, I kind of wish they'd made a different one.
Yeah, exactly. There are those PG-13 movies that's like, this is a PG movie where they had one curse word too many.
PG-13's a range.
And then there are those ones where it's like, they made one cut to avoid this being an R.
This was a movie where they sent it multiple times and had to trim frames to get it.
And this felt like one of those, where this was an R movie that barely squeaked in under.
I've seen monsters get stabbed in the eyes before in PG-13 movies. I haven't seen a monster get its eye pulled out of its socket in a PG-13 movie.
I forgot. That was nasty. We didn't need to see that.
I saw the eye stabbing coming because it's a big eye monster.
It's a big eye monster.
I didn't see the yanking the eye out coming.
You didn't need to do that. And that's the thing. This thing
kind of set the tone, though, didn't it?
Yeah. And that's the thing. This thing was determinedly grim. Like, there were a couple of joke moments here and there. And, I forgot to mention, I did like when he was like, the Fantastic Four, didn't you peak in the 60s? Or chart in the 60s? So there were occasional jokes. But this one felt consciously darker, not only in tone, and the story was very straightforward. There was no beating around the bush.
Oh yeah, once you get the twist of Wanda being the villain out of the way,
they just launched into that. I felt like we were maybe 15, 20 minutes in, and she's already storming the fortress. Like, they did not beat around the bush getting that plot going.
Yeah.
But it just felt like it was so much more straightforward, but also so much less humorous, and intentionally so, and even undercutting moments where it could be.
Yeah, I mean, we sometimes complain that in the MCU they undercut all the dramatic moments with jokes, and in this one, it was a conscious decision
to not
never gonna happen,
even a little. It was intentionally a lot more of a horror movie, including the horrific deaths, and that's just not my cup of tea. There are people who it will be, and that's fine. But for me, I did not enjoy that, and I did not enjoy what they did with Wanda. I do think it is actually a legitimately questionable choice after what they did with Wanda being about grief to take her in this direction.
Right.
And I just didn't like it.
It really does undercut any progress that she made in that show.
Yeah. Or to me, any messages about how you can heal from grief or trauma.
All right. Well,
that's as good as last word.
That's a pretty good wrap up.
Yeah.
It's one of our better wrap ups.
Yeah.
Still don't know how to end it.
Well, clearly a giant star-shaped portal appears behind us.
Wait, should we be murdered?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not CGing that, so we're done.